My main overriding reaction was one of shock, to be honest. It went much further than I was expecting, and it was much more personal, both from Harry and Meghan themselves, but also in relation to members of the royal family. I had anticipated more of, more criticism about the press, the media, social media, and perhaps the institution of the monarchy itself. But this felt much more like scores are being settled at a personal level with members of the family.
Were you surprised about the allegations of racism? Obviously, the quote that someone spoke to Harry about the baby's potential skin colour before the baby was even born was a massive shock.
Look, that's a huge allegation, and it's devastating for the royal family. And I'm sure they will want to respond in time once they've had a chance to digest everything that's come through. That's something that's totally inexcusable if that's what happened. I think, understandably, they haven't wanted to go into further detail, but then that does beg the question: who are they referring to? And inadvertently, perhaps puts people in the frame who didn't make those comments. So it's quite messy. I think it's very damaging to an institution which prides itself on, leading the Commonwealth, on welcoming heads of state from all over the world, and has done a great deal in terms of charity work. You just need to look at the Prince of Wales, and the Prince's Trust has done a lot with young people of colour. And I think that they will be absolutely devastated and reeling from these accusations. I don't see how the palace can ignore these allegations. They're incredibly serious. You have the racism allegations, then you also have, the claim that Meghan was not supported and she sought help even from the HR team within the household, and was told that she couldn't seek help. Now, I'm sure that people within the household will want to give their version of events in time, but I think that's something that's best thought through after some reflection. All of us at 3 a.m. this morning were probably feeling rather shell-shocked by that interview. So I imagine that's something we'll hear more about in the coming days. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to hear Meghan putting in her own words, the mental health struggle that she experienced. And we saw a hint of it previously in the ITV interview with Tom Bradby. And she does go on to say in the Oprah interview, well, I was just fried. It was the end of a long tour. I was exhausted. Obviously, she had a young baby. There are questions around, did she get enough recognition of the condition she was in? She was working hard. But at the same time, she did have a fantastic team around her. And I think it would be interesting to hear from their point of view how they perceived her mental health to be. Now, it's such a personal thing. No one else can really make a call on that. But yes, it is horrible to think of her feeling so isolated that she considered, ending her own life, and people have, enormous sympathy for her. I think, in the fullness of time, we may hear more about the circumstances surrounding that.
What Harry said, what were you most surprised about there?
I think the very personal admissions about his family, the state of relationship with his father and with his brother, I think they will have been very upsetting for both his father and brother to hear, and also, fairly damaging. So it will be interesting to see what comes out from Kensington Palace and from Clarence House over the course of the next few days. It's just an incredibly sad situation. He's made this huge decision, but you see at the same time he's lost a great deal in the process. There's more to come today. As if there weren't enough bombshells, there is more to come. And I think this is going to be a talking point for days and weeks to come. I think this is an interview that we'll still be discussing in 10, 20 years' time, much like the famous Diana Panorama programme. All eyes now are on the palace to see what they respond with.